Hello and welcome. I am Exit Light and this is my channel. Today I'm going to talk about how we lived with the Hat Man. Before we get started, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed and leave a comment below and share the video if you'd like. Those all help my channel to be seen. Alright, let's talk about this. For those of you who do not know what the Hat Man is, I'm going to tell you. The Hat Man is a figure that is reported in folklore and popular culture, but it is talked about throughout the world, throughout villages in the middle of nowhere. There is talk of a Hat Man. Even from people who have never seen the hat that he has described as wearing, which is a fedora, and often he is wearing a trench coat. He is sometimes associated with sleep paralysis, not always, or nightmares, but that's not what we're talking about today. And did you know that sometimes people who use Benadryl in larger amounts can hallucinate the Hat Man? I did not know this. So tell me below, have you ever used Benadryl and hallucinated the Hat Man? Some people consider him to be a malevolent entity. Some people view him as a harmless hallucination or a symbol representing fear or anxiety. Here's how he appears. Typically described as a dark, shadowy figure, often with a trench coat and a fedora being the most common hat. Many experts report that the Hat Man coincides with experiences such as sleep paralysis, a state where one is unable to move, but they are aware of something being around them. I have experienced sleep paralysis. I have never experienced the Hat Man personally. That's not what my sleep paralysis involves. And if you want to hear about my sleep paralysis stories, go ahead and leave a comment below. The Hat Man is often observed standing or watching, sometimes seemingly interacting with the environment, but generally described as non-aggressive. Many, though, report feeling fear or dread or a sense of impending doom when they encounter the Hat Man. Some people believe that the Hat Man is a real, malevolent entity, perhaps a demon or a spirit that feeds on your fear. Some people think he's just a mere hallucination, possibly triggered by sleep paralysis, medication, or some other factors. Stress, anxiety. The Hat Man might represent an underlying anxiety, fear of men in general, or subconscious thoughts of fear of men. But I've never known anyone who has seen the Hat Man to be or claim to be afraid of men or anxious about men. So if you've seen him and you've felt that way, maybe you could leave a comment below. The Hat Man has gained notoriety through online forums and communities, with many users sharing their experiences and interpretations, and this is where we go. I have an older son, and we had a house built. He was about 16 years old. My other children saw figures, shadow people. One of my children claimed that she could see angels, that she remembered what it smelled like before she was born, that heaven smelled like cookies and angels smelled like cookies. And she would say, "Do you see the angel? It's here, it's watching us." And of course, I could not see the angel. But like I've said before, we never stopped our children from expressing those um, experiences, because I think that adults tend to tamp them down, and I believe it's out of fear, honestly, that there's something mentally wrong with their child, or that it's real and they're afraid of it. I'm not afraid of it. I didn't want my children to be either. So we moved into our house, as it turned out, and this is so stereotypical of any scary movie. As it turns out, now we thought that the land that the homes were built on had been previously used as a airport, which it had been, and but not your regular everyday airport. It was the kind of airport where crop dusters would land, and they would, when they were coming into land, they would dump whatever chemicals they had, which we didn't find that out until after we'd moved in. But not long after our home was built, another section, another neighborhood connecting us was being built, and they found some Indian artifacts, which told us that our land had once been inhabited by Indians. And of this being Arizona, we were surrounded by Indian reservations. Just a few blocks down from us was a mound where it was considered sacred ground, and the Native Americans, the Indians, they didn't want us calling them Native Americans. So if you feel like I'm being offensive by calling them Indians, well, um, I don't know about other areas of the country, but in Arizona, they want to be called Indians. They would perform ceremonies that included dancing, prayer like acts, and they had it gated off so that people wouldn't go into it. And surprisingly, considering that teenagers are teenagers, there were never reports of anybody getting in there or going in there. It probably did not help that the word was, if you disrespected the land, you weren't long to live on this earth. So our neighbors moved out not long after we'd all had our homes built together. I mean, not long. Within 6 months, he had gotten, well, he said he had gotten transferred. But one day, their real estate agent came and knocked on my door. And she asked me a very strange question. She asked if we had experienced anything paranormal. Now, I have to say this. We had experienced a lot of paranormal activity in that house. Was it because of the land it was built on? Maybe. One of the things I saw all the time was a little boy. And if you remember, I told you about the first time I ever used a Ouija board and how it involved a little boy. I felt as though he came with me. Every place I've lived since then, with the exception of where I live now. Why he's not here, I don't know. But I didn't tell her that shadow figures, strange things happening, were a daily basis. Almost daily, really almost daily. The little boy was my son's age or size, I should say, and we would think it was him on the stairs, and he walked down the stairs every day. Every day, we'd see him standing there. But my son hadn't told me about something else that was going on in the house. So I didn't answer her. And to this day, I really wish I had, because she was the real estate agent of the house next door. Was that why they moved? It bugs me to this day. I wish I could go back, sit her down and say, let's talk paranormal activity. What happens over there? Anyway, after we lived there for a while, my son began talking about seeing a figure. And we were used to seeing dark figures, shadow figures, and so it didn't seem odd. But in this house, 3 bedrooms met up together in a corner of the house. And there was a loft, which made the fourth corner of the part of the fourth corner of the upstairs. And it was where we kept our computers. Remember back in the day when you had a computer, like a room designated for a computer? It was like that. And sometimes we would hear breathing, very deep breathing. And it wasn't just me, it would wake my children up and have them crawling into bed with mom and dad, not the oldest son, but my little girls, because they were hearing whispering in their ear. Finally, my son told me that there had always been a black man figure, a figure of a man, a shadow figure, standing in the corner of his bedroom. That he would tip his hat and stare at him. And somehow, I guess my son thought if he didn't speak of it, it would go away. We had gotten to the point where we rarely commented about the shadow figures walking around our house unless it was something extra spectacular, like them talking to the shadow figure and realizing that it wasn't my youngest son standing there. And that would, jolt them a little bit. So we talked about it, and he said that every single night he would go to bed and he would leave the bathroom door open just a little crack, and his room would be dark except for the bathroom that was in that corner with the bedrooms. So it was not in his room. And he would see the man standing in the corner. And at the very beginning, he started turning his light on, thinking that there was a man standing in the corner. And he'd be scared, obviously. But he began to get used to the figure standing there, although the fear never left him. He said he would just adjust to the fact that there was going to be fear, but he would allow himself to go to sleep, knowing that the man was didn't seem to be, interacting with him other than hat tips, and didn't seem to be mean, except for the fact that it caused him fear and dread. He dreaded to go to bed at night. Sometimes he wouldn't even sleep in there. We had 3 rooms with furniture in it, and he would pick a room to sleep. Well, usually it was the upstairs room. The downstairs was pretty much off limits for anything at night because there was a bad feeling down there once it got dark. In fact, we would race up the stairs um, when we were coming upstairs, so that because it literally felt like there was something following you. And my son has joked on this channel before, he's been on here, that if I didn't want to leave, I never wanted to leave my purse downstairs. I don't I don't know why, but I just didn't want to leave my purse downstairs. And if I did leave my purse downstairs, I would call out to him and say, "Can you get my purse?" And he would go turn the lights on upstairs, turn the lights on for the stairs, turn the kitchen lights on, the living room lights off, and then just turn them off, turn them on, I mean, and then grab the person and start turning them off as he's running up the stairs. Nobody walked up the stairs. So he feels that that man has followed him and that he still sees him. And he worries sometimes that he'll reveal himself to his children. I've never seen the Hat Man, although I've told the story here before about a man standing in our bedroom doorway who was at least 6 feet tall, built like my son, potentially trying to look like my son, that ran towards my son's bedroom. And five of us saw it. So possibly that was the Hat Man. Anyway, have you had experiences like that? Please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear about them. Have you heard Hat Man stories that you found interesting? Could you tell me about them? I have so many paranormal stories, things that have happened in my homes. The most haunted house, well, that's not true. The one in Arizona is tied with an apartment we moved in here when we first moved to Arizona, no, to Texas, and it had been built in 1964. And both of those houses, those homes, both of them were extremely active with paranormal activity, to the point where I actually looked up like ghost hunters, like type it into the computer, are there paranormal investigators in my area? You know how it goes. Um, anyway, please go ahead and leave me your comments below. Thank you for coming to my channel, and good night. Oh, P.S. Don't look in the corner. Shh. And if you do, close your eyes. Good night.